the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up, so what can make a better me?
Welcome, young, old, and in between, back to the Pom and Fazz show. How are we all doing? I've got my main man, Big Fazz, here. How are you doing, Fazz?
Superb, mate. Superb. Good to be back. Couple of weeks in hiatus, but it's good to be back and pumped for a big night.
Mate, I am looking forward to it. And Big Andy Craker, he's just become a member. Good day to you, Andy. We got the legend that is Adrian. Paul is in chat. Chills. Gav. We've got Rowan. We've got them all. We've got Amy, Richard. Hell for you. Only Carlton. I was going to say only fans then. Jay.
We could do that if you want.
Where's Pom's head at? Only fans. Jesus Christ. We've had since we've been away, we've had quite an up and down time, haven't we? In Carlton. So I suppose we better get stuck into them blue boys, hadn't we, first?
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me.
So, Carlton, they're going through a bit of turmoil and a bit of a change of regular programming. Matheson came out today and gave a bit of a broadside to the board. One of the key points that he said today was something about the board being soft, and which I thought was kind of weird. He literally went in calling them weak, saying that they've slaughtered the coach, and it's kind of an interesting one, I think, because obviously the Mathesons are Carlton through and through. They are a real throwback to old Carlton. I mean, you can't get much more old Carlton than Matheson, can you? It's an interesting one. I'd love to know, chat, and what was your thoughts on that one, Fazz?
It was dollar quote. You know, it's Matheson. Exactly, yeah. But it's dollar quote. Matheson rears his head every couple of years, and yeah, that's true. We've seen. You know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the Matheson family went for a running and they didn't get it. People like that are just not what we need right now. And the media knew it, and it was a pretty easy target. Went for him, bang! Like it's gutter journalism that I reckon my 5-year-old could have done. So yeah, I'm trying to. The fact that it's behind a paywall as well, and the Herald Sun makes it even more sweet, because if you're smart like me and don't pay to read the Herald Sun, then you wouldn't have seen it. So yeah, happy days.
Well, it was interesting because Gav makes a good point. Obviously his family was part of the fall in the 2000s. Luke Sayers actually went on the counter offensive just after that article, making a post on Twitter. If this week showed us one thing, it's that no other club evokes such emotions and passions and deep connection. Let's bring all that and more to Marvel tomorrow night. Get the joint rocking, bring that energy on and off the field and embrace it. Expectation is a privilege. And it was interesting that he said expectation is a privilege, because I'm one of these guys that, you know where I stand. Right, you know where I stand. I am of the school that whatever happened prior to 2020, fold it up into a shiny little ball and do a Kobe into the bin with it. I'm one that believes that you honour the past, you don't worship the past. So I believe going forward, the 16 flags that we have, the 16 premierships, that they're good historically. But we honour that by the way that we lead ourselves into the future. We don't live in that. So for me, I took that, and as Gav said earlier, as your dad said earlier, the Mathesons want their sons on the board. That is the last thing we do, in my opinion. The last thing. Whoever the next president is, I want them to be him or her, a person that I've got to fucking Google. and go, who the fuck's that?
Yeah,
I want someone to come in with fresh ideas and fresh ideas. But it was interesting because Luke Sayers said about privilege, and there's been a big quote that I did want to talk about, Adam Chera. Now, there's two parts that I want to have a rant about Adam Chera. The first part is I can't believe Adam Chera did that interview, because to me, that was when I wanted Cripper. I wanted Cripper to come out and do that. I really wanted my head honcho to take a bit of the heat, because it was obvious you could have thrown Ed Kerno, Jack Silvani, anyone, and no matter what they said, they were going to get over hot coals. The way the media did, one of my good friends was at the media conference, and he said that question was asked in different ways by different journalists from the same media outlet 3 different times to try and invoke that soundbite. But I've got the quote here, right? I've got the full quote here, because I think people have just clipped the one quote. But he actually answered the question in full. I think every club feels pressure to make finals. That's what players want to play in, and more importantly, that's what the fans want to watch. I'd be lying if I said if no one felt pressure, but it's something that we have to embrace. We're grateful for being part of a big supporter base, but we have the responsibility that comes with it. Every week, Ossie is big on not looking at the big picture, but looking at the little intrinsic things week by week, trying to get better. We're going to get there as soon as possible. So I wouldn't call it a failure, even though it's our goal. It might be this year, might be next year, but we want to get there as soon as possible. Every football club feels the pressure to make finals, and that's what players want to play in. That's what our fans want to go and watch, and that's what we want to deliver. We are looking at the process on a day-by-day basis, not the end picture. Now, I think that's a very interesting quote, because what I took out of that is mainly finals is the goal, right? So that was what I got out of it on first listening, right? The next bit, when I started to read into it, is how do you set a goal, right? So I'm going to say this. If round 1, your goal is to finish in the 8, right? That is the shittest plan in the world. If every week Vossi goes, all right, 58 points all, Richmond, draw. We've got to play finals, though, yeah? Got to finish in the 8. Right? Round 2 comes round, in that, got to play in the finals. That plan will be, here is finals, here is 9th, and it'll be a step-by-step journey, and they can't predict. And if they are, I'm shocked, because Carlton are worse than I think they are. If they've plotted win here, lose here, what they will be doing is going, right, what does finals look like? What does 9th look like? Right, what weren't we quite good? And it's interesting that Chera mentioned the phrase cohesion 7 times in different questions in there, and it's been reiterated by a few at Carlton. I would say that's the big thing, cohesion. And for those at home, I don't want to come across patronising, but just so you know, it's an action or a fact of forming as a united whole, right? So as a togetherness, so everyone's on the same page. And if you go back last year, towards the back end of the year, cohesion through injuries, through other things, was definitely affected. It was interesting that Voss first mentioned cohesion round 20, when the injury list took its toll and 3 players came back into the squad very early. That he said that it's about getting these players blooded and getting some continuity and cohesion into my best 25 to 28 players, which I haven't been able to do since the bye. I think there, what Chera was saying is their main focus at the moment isn't finals. It's getting the building blocks in place, so when we get to round 23, we're actually in the finals, not going, oh shit, the plan was finals. How did you think of it, Fazz? And just be honest. I'm not going to tell you off, chat. What did you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the pylon was ridiculous. I I look at it this way, two ways. Let's say we didn't make finals this year, but we win the grand final next year. I just don't think how you can use such a strong word and like an absolute word like failure. Like it's horrible to say. To me, in my opinion, Adam Chera showed wonderful maturity. He's far more mature than I am, because if I had been in his position, they asked me that question, I would have lost my shit and said, what the fuck do you want me to say? If I say we don't make finals as a failure, you'll write that. If I say, yeah, we'll make finals, we'll win a premiership, you'll say, oh, geez, Carlton, they're over-ambitious. No matter what he said, the writing would have been negative. If he had have said, yeah, definitely finals is a goal, we're going to make finals, and it would be a failure, the article headline would be, Carlton will fail this year. He couldn't win. And I just think the pile-on, people get so sucked into words more than actions. Like, it's a press conference. They're all media trained. They all know what they're meant to say. But I liked what he said. And the reason I liked what he said, and a lot of people pointed out, they said, Cook said it and Chera said it. It's no good, blah, blah, blah. I actually think it is good, because it means Cook's on the same page, Chera's on the same page, Voss is on the same page. It would have been way worse if Cook had said it, said what he said, and then Chera's come out and said, yeah, no, it would be a failure if we didn't make it. Because that's division that we don't need. At least whether you like the wording or not, everyone's on the same page with the same goal and moving forward. Because the goal is not to make finals. It's not to make finals. Fucking Essendon made finals 2 years ago. Where are they? Oh, well done. It's not to make finals. It's to be successful. Move on. Like, it's simple as that.
Mate, Spawn and Mighty Blues has got it. I mean, KPIs in the industry that I'm in, that's the most important thing. So you'll have end goals, and that could be to make XYZ sales. That could be to sort out XYZ complaints. But when you've got them goals aren't achievable by one individual in the terms of, doesn't matter how good an individual is, there's too many eventualities that could stop him. So if you're in sales, current economic crisis, cost of living increases. So when some dickhead has said, right, you should sell 80K this year, no one's thought of that there was going to be an economic crash 3 months into the year. That changes. So what you're looking for is the KPIs. You're looking at, is this individual doing X, Y, Z? You're looking at the building blocks of success. And I wanted to put this out to chat. I've got two questions, right? First question, you mentioned Cookie. Cookie's exact words in the interview, right? I've got them here, where, oh, geez, let me think about that. He then took 2 deep breaths, and then he said, the aim is to play finals, but do I think it's a disaster if we don't? No. But I think the fans would probably think that. But for us, we've got to focus about dealing with it when it happens. If and when it happens. Now, I noticed Chera and Cook, and I actually changed my mind on them. I felt sorry for them, because for him to take that deep breath, that said to me, and Gav's nailed it here, he knew whatever Cook could have said this. Right, correct. Here at Carlton Football Club, we've cured cancer, we've cured homelessness, we've cured poverty, and we've achieved middle peace in the Middle East. However, I can't guarantee you finals, right? Everyone would have forgotten about them 5 amazing things and gone, the fuck's Cook on about? Get rid of him. Sack him. I don't care about world peace. Fuck world peace. Right?
It's true.
And then I watched Chera, and Chera, I've spoke to Chera personally, and I can tell you he's a very measured and confident young gentleman. He reminded me of, you know, when your son or your daughter has done something fucking that they think you're going to kill him for, right? A great example is, I can remember I used to take the piss, and we had a cup from that looked like it was from the war. It wasn't. It was from Eden Camp, which is a museum. But I used to tell my kids as a joke it was 200 years old. They broke it once. I remember my kid coming into my room, and he was shitting himself. And he was like this, Dad, and it looked like he was expecting me to murder him. But then he told me, I'm kind of like, who gives a shit? It was like £2, mate. I couldn't give a fuck. It felt like that, though. It felt like Cherrer and Cook's voice, they were like literally petrified of what to say because they literally knew whatever I say today, it's game over. It's game over. I can't actually say it right. He would like, I'd like Chat and Fazz. If you were asked that question in Cherrer's position, how would you have answered it?
Personally, I would have said, if I'm thinking about something that's going to happen in September, then my mind's not on what's going to be happening on Saturday. That's how I'd answer it. And if they ask it again, I'd say, I gave you my answer. If I'm thinking about something in September, then I'm not worrying about Saturday. If these questions about finals, forget finals. Saturday is our final. Then next week is our final. And the week after, like, that's how you answer it. It's simple as that. You throw it back on them. There is no laws amongst gods or men that forces you to answer a question that a media person says. You can just say it that way.
I think I would have. Like, I've tried to think about it. I think I would have said, I don't deal in if, buts, or maybes. Deal in absolutes. So for me, I can't tell you what happens in September. As far as we're concerned as a football club, we're focused game by game. And if we know we win 14 of these games, we're playing finals. So that starts this week.
Yeah. The old cliche, as Patrick said, it's a cliche because it's true. it's a reality. And I think, Jay, I love that, James, because I actually literally posted, I don't know if James follows me on Twitter, but I actually literally posted a Star Wars GIF about only Sith stealing absolutes. So I love that. Yeah, well done. But I think we're kind of looking at it from the wrong angle, in my opinion. I think we've got to look a little bit deeper. And I've thought about this, and I do not want to harp on this too much because I want to move on. But I'm going to take a couple of minutes here and just explain. I think there is an identity crisis at the Carlton Football Club. And I genuinely believe they don't know if they're Arthur or Martha at the moment. And the identity crisis stems all the way down to the fans. And what I mean by that, there's literally two groups of people. Two groups. There's the 40-plus-year-olds who have seen success, seen Carlton at their best, know what it takes, demand what it takes. And then there's the, say, 35 belows, like my generation, who know nothing but losing. And one thing I'm really big on, don't pretend to be something you're not. Okay. Now I know the Carlton Football Club is successful, but the reason there's an identity crisis at the moment is because there are people pretending to be something they're not. The older generation, the 40 plus, they're forced in a position to pretend to be humble. Oh, we're rebuilding. We're a small club. They can't do that. They need to be that. We're Carlton. Fuck the rest. We're arrogant. And that's fine. I actually love it. But don't pretend to be the humble, we're no good, we're losers, when you're not. Equally to us, the 35 belows, we can't pretend to be this all-powering, conquering football club. We can't, because we've never experienced it. I cannot pretend that I'm an arrogant, we are Carlton, fuck the rest, 16 flags. We're actually humbled. We're beat dogs. And I know I'm going on a bit, but who are the biggest voices in social media at the moment, Carlton-wise? It's the people 35 below. They're the biggest voices. And they're doing one of two things. They're either coming on and being that humble beat dog, or they're pretending to be something they're not, which is, we're Carlton, we demand this, we demand that, bring John Elliott back, bring him back, when they weren't even alive to experience it, for one, but they're pretending to be something they're not. And I see a lot of things, you won't catch me being humble. Of course, I've said that. The 40-plus-year-olds don't even pretend to be humble because it's not you. So that's why there's an identity crisis. Now, how do we fix it? I don't give a fuck which way it goes. I don't care, all right? But pick one way, because at the moment, Carlton are coming out and in one conference they're saying, oh, yeah, you know, we're taking it slow, we're doing this. And then the next thing, no, fuck this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Pick one and stick to it. Because at the moment, we have an identity crisis and we don't know whether we're the big powerhouse Melbourne club or a club who's done nothing for 20 years. Get some clarity. That's all.
Mate, I think you've said that well. I think you've been very fair. And I mean, I was right in the middle of your cutoff as well. I'm 37, so
yeah.
Hopefully, I'm a good voice. I mean, the way I stand is I've kind of seen this with Man United, right? Kind of seen this with my club, Man United. And I think Carlton are Leeds United, right? And what they need to do is there was a time. So those who don't know about Leeds United, I'll tell you, right? Leeds United, Dirty Leeds, right? They've always been called Dirty Leeds. They won a plethora of league titles, right? In the bygone years, probably when Carlton started winning a lot of flags in the 70s and 80s. They were a very successful side, known as Dirty Leeds because they played a very uncompromising, unforgiving brand. Dare I say, in today's standards, you would refer to it as cheating, right? Cheating. So you look at Carlton, all their flags were in an era where you need a key forward, fuck off to South Australia. You buy a player called Sticks and move him over here. You don't have to trade for him, you just buy him. Quick fixes. Leeds are very like Carlton, that they kind of embraced the Leeds mantra of Dirty Leeds, but it killed them in the end. And they went down and they got humbled. And then for 2 or 3 years, Leeds tried to clamour and they had an identity crisis. Are they old Leeds? Or are they new Leeds? And then you had some chairman come in and they wanted to be all sunshine and poppycock. We're a family club. Didn't quite work. Then you had some, let's go back to the aesthetic edge. And then you got their new chairman in who's done really well. He's got them right back to the top. They've sustained themselves. They look like they should stay up this year. But what they did is they started to remember who they were. Yes, we're Dirty Leeds, but we're Dirty Leeds in 2022, 2023. So we do play hard and tough, but we play hard and tough and fairly. We don't go out and break your legs anymore. We go out and dance and play football and amaze you. But they remembered their identity and did it in a new way. And that needs to be applauded. And I think people talk about our rebuilds. People go on way too much about it and look too far. And Gab's nailed it. Negativity sells. It's so easy for views, mate. If I come 100%. On here and say the club's fucked, I get 1,000 views and fucking $50 in my pocket. And I'm down the Sky Cruiser having a beer. But what I would say is Carlton are still old Carlton, just without the arrogance. Carlton is still, because it's quick fix. And I'll give you an example. They sign a coach, Bolton, to a 3-year deal in a 5-year rebuild plan. They get rid of him after 3 years. They then get Teague in after all of them saying, now we need an experienced manager, experienced coach. They get rid of him. Sauce, 2 transfer windows, trade windows, said that we need 2 midfielders. He went out and got a forward in Mitch McGovern. The next year, he said we need outside speed. And he brought in inside midfielders and halfback flankers. He didn't buy any wingers. He ignored them at the draft table. It was quick fix, always quick fix. And what you're seeing now, and this is why I'm a little bit excited for the first time in a long time about Carlton, is the wording I'm hearing. And I don't want to upset anyone, but the wording I'm hearing is a team that's in transition. Is a team where this should have been said 3 fucking years ago, in my opinion, that no, we're not on about results. Someone should have come out when Bolton was losing and going, of course we're losing. Look at the spuds we got playing for us. Look at the drama, the shit we've got off our list. But it's about sustained weekly continuity and building towards this. And no one's done that until now. So the fans now are scared. So you're getting all these ridiculous talk of, has Carlton lost its identity? Carlton respects. Is that ignoring the football? Is it fuck? 2 interns from Carlton's university taking pictures of people. That's not affecting their training. But I'll tell you what it is doing, though. It's causing dissension in the fan ranks. And I love it when fans criticise the club. It turns me on. That's your fucking job. Hold the standard. But when it starts to create chaos, the club has wasted way too much fucking time having to diffuse the fans. And you know what annoys me is you've only got to go and look at the AGM. Someone posted it on Twitter. I'll repost it. Of the last 3 AGMs we've had where fans has had an opportunity to speak, to the board, and either through choice or through which fans have been asked, some of them questions are fucking negligent. And people need to be thankful I'm not the president of this great football club, because I would ban these members. But some of them questions are, how many free game memberships have we got? Couldn't give a fuck. What about free parking during practice games? Couldn't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? None of these are asking the questions you're asking me in chat. Where's the identity? What's the process? And for me, the first question you all should ask, right? And no one's asked it. And I felt years ago, Adrian, it was you. Thank you, mate. You are a legend. So the questions are fucking nonsense. And I remember the first 5 years.
The pins, that was so good. Yeah.
Mate, the first 5 year plan, I went back and read it, was effectively this. We're shit now. In 5 years, we'll win a premiership. Right?
Yeah, wow.
There was no actual fucking process. Like, and I read North Melbourne's. North Melbourne's is probably the best 5 year plan I have ever seen. And it reads like this. Year 1, 18th to 16th, 2 to 4 wins. Year 2, 4 to 6 wins. 16 to 12. Right? You know, things like that. Little insulars that you and me, the fan base, can do our job and go, well, hang about, year 3, you have us 12th. We're currently 16th, 4 wins off par. What the fuck is going on? Because that 5 year plan allows you to be the old Carlton board. Quick fix. Because what did they do? Go back and look. They'd sack a coach. They'd bring in a brand name. You've had Kernahan's been through that club. You've got Judd through that club in the last rebuild. You've now got Diesel. They bring a deflection tactic so they can give you a new 5 year plan. And that's because the 5 year plan isn't held to account by anyone. And the people that need to hold them to account are you guys, the paying members. And you know what? Not just the fucking paying members. Fuck them as well. The fans in general. Anyone that loves this club. It doesn't matter if you have a 1 game membership, fucking a corporate box, or if you're in America right now, sipping a wine, listening to me, you are equal to everyone else. And you hold them to account. And that's how they get away with it. And now there's a little bit of fucking accountability starting to seep through. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, very well said. And I think for me, I find it very difficult to understand how a sane person can hang a group of people for the mistakes when they weren't even there. So everyone's like, oh, hang about, what's Voss and the coaches doing? You know, this list is good. Is the list good? I don't know. Like, the reality is Voss has been there for 18 months with a whole new coaching panel, with Brian Cook, a whole new president, all this stuff. We can't be hanging him for stuff that happened in 2018. We can't be hanging them for promises that were made in 2015. We can't. They've made their promises now. And like it or lump it, it's the decision of the board to change these coaches. As far as I'm concerned, the moment you change a coach, a new plan starts. That coach doesn't take over the previous plan. That's just moronic to think that's the way it is. So people are hanging Voss on the expectation of what was said in 2015. Well, it's irrelevant. Now we should be hanging Voss on what was said in the plan last year, regardless of where you think the list is at or whatever, because Nick Austin's there now. Sayers is there now. Cook's there now. Maybe Nick Austin wouldn't have fucking picked half the players Sauce picked. Who knows what would have happened? But the reality is we deal with what we know now. And to be honest, the most important thing that they need to do, and I can't believe it, where's the embossed monogram on the jumper? I mean, fuck me. No wonder we haven't won flags. Where's the embossed monogram? Bring it back. Bring it back. The embossed monogram. I spent a whole day talking about the embossed monogram, and you know what? I'm a better man for it. Get fucked.
I did happen to see the embossed Guernsey. Some people in the comments asked my opinion on it. Honestly, I'm going to be totally honest about the Guernsey. I understand why some of you are upset about the Guernsey. I kind of understand it, but honestly, I'm more concerned about being not in finals, to be honest. And I mean, the only way that I can think the embossed Guernsey would help is just from my understanding of centrifugal force. And if it was slightly embossed, it might stop Harry over-rotating, so he might not over-snap them. That's the only thing that I care about. But no, I agree with you. And I'm not saying that the 5-year plan, to answer your father, is about wins. I'm not an idiot. I know that in that 5-year plan, there'll be cash flow, memberships, rebuilds of the ground, facilities. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a moron. I understand how a business plan works. But I'm saying for the fans, there needs to be some metric that we can cling on to. And the metric that we cling on to is wins. It is wins, really, because wins are the Uno reverse card. Even if you're a moron or your football IQ is through the roof, wins are something that are measurable and tangible, and you can touch them and feel them. And that's something. Now, I wanted to talk finally about Carlton before we move on to other things which are Carlton related. 4 weeks. I think what we're looking at really importantly is the next 4 weeks are really imperative for this club. And I wanted to be a bit impassioned here because I want to know what everyone in chat, while I'm talking, think of your past score. So the next 4 weeks, you've got Doggies tomorrow, you've got Collingwood on Sunday, Friday you've got Sydney, and then you've got Melbourne, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 games. I think these next 4 games are really imperative. I want you to tell me your par score for that. And what I look at here is why they're imperative. I fear for this group if they lose this week. I really fear. Now, my little secret squirrels tell me that they have been working frantically behind closed doors. It's been incredibly intense, is what my spies have told me about the club. And it doesn't mean it's intense training. It's really intense of trying to get them together and get them up and about and get them in a situation where they can go on and improve. I think if they're 0-4, fuck me, I am genuinely scared for this group, and I dread to think what Twitter's like. I actually think if they can break even, looking at the games that they end the season with, I think that they are actually home and hosed. I think if they can win 2 of these next 4, I think, quote me on this, lock finals away, because back end of the year, when you look at how the season's shaping up, the boys are going to be playing teams a little bit weaker than them in positions where they can win. But I think James has got it, nailed it. James, you've got the comment of the fucking night for me, and this is why I was leading to it.
Fact.
What I am sensing, and this was my point, is when I listen to Cookie, I listen to Chera, they're not fucking enjoying that, right? That must be horrible to be talking to the press and thinking, fuck, I'm going to get shot, right? Do you know what I mean? That's a horrible feeling. I think the most important thing is, for this week, is they've got positive energies against the Doggies. They always match up well. Go in there, fucking enjoy it. Like, that would be my message. So I want to know, past score, I've seen some of them chat. And also, what would your message be as the boys run out? My message, to give you an example, would be, I don't care what the scoreboard is today, right? What I want from all 23 of you is to do what I've told you to do individually in your system plan, and win, lose, or draw. If we lose, I take 100% responsibility. All I need you to do is go and do your job and enjoy it. And go and enjoy it. Go back and have a bit of fun. Put some smiles on them baggers' faces. What would you guys say, Fazz? Your pass score.
I'm probably going to annoy and upset a lot of people here, which what else is new? So why change now? I don't look at the wins, the losses, their past score. I've seen 2-2, whatever. I don't look at the wins or losses as the be all and end all. And I know that sounds very Bolton-like or whatever. Obviously, you need to win games. But the reality is, I've seen with this fan base, I've seen with this supporter group and all that, even when we win, people sook it up and bitch and moan. Like, we could play the filthiest fucking game tomorrow night and beat the Doggies, and the comments will be, oh, that was shit. Or like, we beat West Coast by 108 points. Oh, it was just West Coast. Fuck that. Like, to me, it doesn't really... I obviously want to win the games, but go back to, don't let these next 4 games define our season. Whether we go 0-4, 4-0, 2-2, this next 4 games does not define our season based on the wins or losses. But these next 4 games, in the manner in which we play, will define our season. I've got no issues in losing to Collingwood, Melbourne. I've got no issues in losing to any of them, as long as we have a plan. No, I don't. I've got no issues in losing to them, as long as we have the plan in place that we know is going to keep us in sustained success. Okay? And if the game plan, and Voss is saying, this is the game plan, we're going to stick to it because we know in 2024, 2025, it will win us a premiership, then play that plan. I don't care. But the reality is as simple as this. We know what our supporter group are like. No matter what happens on Saturday night, it'll be, oh, it was just the Doggies. Oh, we always beat the Doggies. Fuck me. Like, seriously. It's not about the numbers. Having said that, I'd like to go 2-2.
No, that's good. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think for me, what I'm looking at here, and I think James, you might be my subconscious tweeting. That's where my anger came from this week against Brisbane. That was lethargic. It was as bad as I've seen Carlton play in an execution sense of the word. And for me, am I gonna, like, I understand what you mean, Fazz. I can see it now. I actually called it in my preview. I actually think this game will be scrappy. I think there'll be times that Vossi's going to have to use his intelligence and go, when they start getting dominance out of the centre, you've got to start making it ugly, making it scrappy. And that's my fear, that if they win this game, some people are going to be like, we were shit though. But at the moment, everything is confidence. Everything is confidence. And Richard nails it. The confidence will come from the system.
Look, and that's what I'm talking about. This and look, we'll go back, and this again shows the divisiveness of people. And I'm not going to criticize people here, but I've just been like, bullshit Fazz, rubbish Fazz. What are you talking about, Fazz? That shit Fazz. Literally 5 minutes ago, you were all saying, well said, Fazz, when I was talking about a process. And when you were talking about a process, and I literally just said the same thing in a smaller microcosm of 4 weeks. But because I'm not saying unless we win the games, it's bullshit, Fazz, you're fucking... No, I'm saying a 5-year plan broken down into 4 weeks. It's a microcosm. If anyone lets 4 weeks, whether we go 0-4, if you let that define your season or your history, then you're a failure anyway, or you're going to fail anyway. So I'm not going to deal in, we need to get X amount of this, or we need to do that. We need to do the business. Just get on there and do the business. And you know what? The reality is, there is a very, very... We're not talking about mugs here, right? Bulldogs maybe do, but there is a very, very real possibility that we play our best football and get beaten. That's what happens. So when someone asks me, what's the, how many wins or losses do we need to have? I want to win all 4. Of course I want to win all 4. But we could play dog shit and fall over the line, or we could play brilliant and win. It doesn't matter. We just need to go to the plan. And like Vossi said, don't worry about Collingwood the week after. Don't worry about Sydney. Worry about the Doggies on Saturday night. Get the job done. Fuck off home and worry about the week after. As simple as that.
For me, and just to answer Michael, I don't think he was blaming the fans. I think what he's saying is that there's going to be some negativity, which there is, and that's it's hard to describe. I understand why everyone's upset. I really do. I'm upset. I fucking hate losing. Do you know what I mean? My wife tells me off because I batter my kids at any sport, any game. Have to win. You know what I mean? And I'll go to lengths to win as well. I'll go to lengths. I'll make sure I raise my game with my 8-year-old boy. But I do think at the moment, this next 4 weeks, why I think it's so important is the fans, the club, the players, everyone needs to reconnect a little bit. Because at the moment, it feels like everything's going the way. So my message to the fan base, before we move on to my next segment, which is kind of Carlton related and AFL related, is just fucking enjoy it. Like, enjoy the moment, because you know what? As the great John Lennon said, life is something that happens when you're making plans for something else. And remember, John Lennon was quite astute. He did also say, I am the Eggman, I am the walrus, cuckoo, cuckoo. So I wouldn't take it as scripture. But while you guys think of that, what is your prediction for this week? Let me know.
Yeah. And I think I just want to finish off by saying you saying the fans get back connected, and that's true. But I'm saying our fans showed their hand in the West Coast game and the North game and the GWS game. We beat West Coast by 108 points, and there was still criticism. That's what I'm saying. No matter what we do against the Doggies on Saturday night, there is going to be a percentage of the supporter group that's going to criticize it. Having said that, I think we'll win by about 6 goals. I think we'll bury the Dogs. Right?
But
I guarantee.
Fucking hell.
No, I think we'll win by 6 goals. I said that to my mate Richie today. I see Carlton 6 or 7 goals, but I promise you now, we win that, and there'll be a section of this supporter group, and everyone knows who I'm talking about because I got in a fucking barrage with them the other day, who will come out and say, well, that's just to be expected. Well, that's what we got to do. Oh, well, that's a Carlton. Fuck me. Just win the game.
You know what I mean? Thank you very much, CC, for becoming a member as well, mate. Do you know what I mean? I think for me, like, I want to see them go back. Just go back to that basics. And the next bit I wanted to bring you on is just a little bit of a discussion that kind of puts it in perspective for us all watching at home. So let's get into AFL.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I...
So obviously we're talking about finals, right? And it got me thinking, right? Because I've got mates at pretty much all the clubs apart from Gold Coast and GWS, because quite simply, I don't think they exist. I don't think there is fans of them. So I would be a liar if I said to you I had friends there. But let's start with the top 8. So the top 8 at the moment is Collingwood, 7 wins, 1 loss. That loss obviously coming at the hands of the Lions, but since then, 6-point win against the Saints, 13-point win against Essendon, a 1-point win against the Crows, and a very comprehensive 4th quarter performance against Sydney. It only took them 1 quarter to beat the Swans. Melbourne, they're 6-2. Obviously, a few shock losses. Essendon beating them, and they lost earlier in the season. St Kilda 6-2. Losses, as we remember, to the Pies and Port. Brisbane, they're in pretty good form. They've been very impressive since their 2 early losses. Port Adelaide, they had 2 early losses. They've got some very good late season form. Geelong, now they've got players back. They're flying. 5-3. Doggies are 5-3 as well, who play Carlton. Obviously, that shock loss to Port. But since then, a win against a limp Fremantle, 5-point win, and a 2-goal win against GWS and Hawks. And Carlton, we know what Carlton are doing. We don't have to talk about them. So what I wanted to talk about to you guys is, I would say, in my opinion, as outside Geelong and the Lions' recent form, they're the only 2 sides that I think I had in the top 4 that look like they're going to find their top 4. And then in the third, and obviously Collingwood have been, I hate to say it, they've been pretty impressive. They're still winning them tight games. And is that sustainable? They keep saying it's not, but they keep fucking doing it. And they've also got the ability. But I look at the sides outside of that. Port, I think, have been kissed on the dick where they've played. And when they have played away from home, for some reason, the teams they've played couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. The doggies, I think, are very similar to cow, and particularly watching that GWS game last week, we looked like prime Brisbane compared to GWS. They were horrible. Essendon, you know they're going to fold. Adelaide, they don't travel. They're like Guinness. Sydney, people laugh when I said they won't make the 8. Are you laughing now? That team is shell-shocked. And once Geelong opened them scars. So for me, what I wanted to ask you, is there anyone there? Is there any one of the top 8 that you look at, if you take away the 3 teams we've mentioned, that is really setting the world alight, if you're honest with yourself? Like, take your blue glasses off. But is there anyone there you say, fuck me, they're way better than us?
Yeah, look, just before I get started, just shout out to my good mate, Wael. Love your support. Keep it up. Yeah, look, I think, what a legend. I think, I actually said this during the week. I think, you said your favorite quite danger game. I think someone's going to steal a flag this year, because even if I agree, I think that the only team that I genuinely believe are any hard to beat or any good is Geelong. I think every other team, including Brisbane, including Collingwood, as much as I love Collingwood, Fazz Pies, I think that Adelaide game proved it. Proved they can. D's are so beatable. They are so flaky, Melbourne. You're right. I genuinely think there's an opportunity for a team to steal a flag. Absolutely steal a flag. It's think doggies of 2016. You've just got to play 4 good weeks of football. Get there, play 4 good weeks, and you're going to win it. Because, as you said, there is no standout team. No team is yes, the wins loss column, but again, I wouldn't call them absolute standouts. Most teams are literally playing 15 good minutes a game to win it. Look at the Carlton Brisbane game, and as much as, again, Carlton was slagged off for it, Brisbane played 15 good minutes, piled on those 5 goals, and the game is over. That's what teams are doing. Teams are, all they've got to do is put together. Carlton did it when we beat North, when we beat GWS. You're playing that patch, and it's game over. And St Kilda don't concern me. I'd be a very nervous man if someone held a gun to my head and said, pick the premiership winner. I'd be a very nervous man, because there's about 10 teams who could win it, I reckon.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I went back through my prediction video at the start of the year, right? And I don't want to build anyone up. I don't want anyone to get excited, but I look.
Do it.
And
do it.
I had us 50% by ARBOR. So I was very conservative in my video. So for 14 games, I had us, I think it was 6-8. 6-8. So that had us just outside the 8. And then if you look at the back end of the year for Carlton and you look at how the teams play, they'll have that week off. They'll have learned a fucking hell of a lot because the worst is over. They've got a really fair running. Right? A really fair running. And I remember doing the preview, right, of the year, this year, and I said that for Carlton, they've got to try and find a way of reversing last year and finishing 8-2, because that's how teams traditionally win flags and go well in finals. Their form is after the bye, and Geelong are the masters of it. And Geelong have had to go early, and at the moment, they're getting beat by a side that struggled to put Eagles away last week. It's just how unpredictable it is. And I wanted to get across that basically what I wanted to do is, I know Wael's having a go at Fazz, and I think that's unfair, Wael. I know you watch a lot of my content. But Wael watches a lot of my content, and you know that I always try and be measured and fair, and I'm very respectful of other people's opinions. I don't like it when people say we're going to win the flag. I don't like it when people say we're going to be the bottom of the 4. But I think you've got to hold them to a high standard on the field, which last week was appalling. But you've also got to, Sir Alex Ferguson says it best. Do you know what I mean? Sleep on it, then tomorrow you've got to come out. You've got to come out. And he said that that's how he dealt with a loss. Why did we lose? How do we stop it? Win next week. Next week. Right? So for me, it starts right now. But we've got to be looking. I think these next 4 weeks, it's a fantastic time because you've got to understand this system. This system, I'm telling you, and I don't think there's any content producers, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, who spend as much effort playing with the tactical side of the game than I do. I really put a lot of effort into it because it's something that I'm passionate about. I am telling you now, based on all the other sports in the world, this system suits the players when it works. When it fucking works. At the moment, 100%, since probably the 10 minutes of the last fourth quarter against Richmond, it hasn't worked for more than 15 minutes in a game. And for whatever reason, negativity, fear, whatever it is, right? But what a fucking fantastic work that they've got in 5 weeks, because all these sides here are specialists in destroying systems. That they are 5 of the 6 best sides in the league outside of Geelong of beating systems, taking your system and shoving it back up your ass. So they're going to get... I actually like this quote by Voss, and I said it in my review. I would never say this publicly if I was a coach, but he is spot on. We have a phrase at work: an angry customer gives you the best feedback, right? Because when someone's angry and they're blindsided, they just scream and shout at you. They pick your faults very quickly and they focus on it, and you understand it very quickly where you went wrong because they will fucking breach your dam. This is a great 5 weeks because when they have that break, Voss can literally say, you got battered here, you got battered here, you got battered here. In certain departments, I'm not saying on the scoreboard, but he can actually say, this is the problem here. This needs to get better. And then you have 8 weeks to finish the season against weaker teams. All of them are weaker teams than us, even if it is. And I wholeheartedly agree with people saying, if we don't make finals, massive changes. I'll call it now. Nick Austin and Voss are playing the same recycled players because they are playing the players that they're going to continue with, either as squad players or will be part of the best 22. It's why Carlton have only recycled 26 players when they're fit. And at the end of the season, if they finish 9th or 10th, I reckon you'll see 8-10 list changes. If they make finals, you might 100%. See 6-7. But 100%. I think that's a huge, huge thing to look out for, that Voss is doing that. And no one, if we're honest, is kicking ass at the moment.
No. And that's why everyone's beatable. And I think when looking at Carlton as well, it's execution. Do you know what I mean? Like the plan is the plan, but it's execution. Every game we've had enough ball, we've had enough inside fields, we've had enough all this stuff, but it's the execution. If that is able to change, then it's happy days. And you know, you basically said, probably more eloquently than I said it because no one's abused you for it, but you basically said what I said. After these 4 weeks or 5 weeks, we've actually got a decent run. So yes, as important as they are, it's I'll define our season come round 23 or round 24, whatever it is this year. I'll define where we are by then. At the moment, we just keep going. And I just want to emphasize, I've got no issues on the Saturday night. Go your hardest. If you don't like what you saw, go your hardest. But by Monday or Tuesday, I think it's time to, move on and look at the next week. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Spot on. And honestly, like, I think I saw Paolo get a lot of hate, and I love Paolo. He's my boy, right? He's one of my boys. And I don't think he blamed the fans. You know what I'm like? I'm pro-fan. Like, if I had my way, I'd rip all these suit-wearing dickheads from our board and just us lot go in and have a fucking beer and fucking run the club. Because I said it, and this kind of links to Fazz's argument about Monogram. I said, fuck your Monogram for a minute. There's something more important. We are the Monogram. So whatever the club says, whatever the club does to that C, whatever the club names, Icon Park, whatever sponsors, AFL football clubs, like all sporting clubs, fuck the name, fuck everything else. It's the 100,000 people that love that club. They are the heart and soul. That's why I get offended when you give that moniker to a player. That's not the heart and soul. The heart and soul of every good sporting club, even bad ones, is the fans. And that's because of how they're made. West Ham, the Ironworks Football Club, it was a group of iron workers that wanted a meeting pot for family and friends. Carlton Football Club has the same story, a meeting pot for the local people to come together and unite in one flag. We are always going to be that. And this week, and I agree with you, Wally, you've nailed it. Adam Cherry's been the best player. There's a lot of positives if you look hard enough, right? Cherry, I'm going to tell you this. 5 years ago, if you told me Adam Cherry, when he came in, was going to come to Carlton, and effectively this year, right, he has been the equivalent of Patrick Cripps for this midfield in 2018, right? If you told me that when we signed him for that pick 6 and said, oh, Pom, your midfield is going to be horrifically down, really poor, but Adam Cherry is going to be the glue. Adam Cherry is going to stand up every week. He's going to lay tackles for you. He's going to bump out a gun. Don't you mean Caleb Sarong, the guy who does it at Fremantle? Because Adam Cherry's scared of a little bit of a contest. And that's a huge, exciting thing for me, because you know what? We have a saying in the UK, and Fazz will have heard it. Oh, he's shockingly out of form. And our media does it a little bit differently. So if a striker's not scoring goals, Haaland went 4 goals without a game. And all the pundits weren't saying, oh, Haaland's shit. Haaland's lost it. Haaland's fucked. Haaland's cooked. They were saying, look out when he finds his form. They've just got to keep, and they kept saying this, they've got to keep feeding him. They've got to keep feeding him, and then it'll eventually come in, and his confidence comes in. Same with these boys. This midfield, they've been on top. I think there was a stat somewhere. They have been on top of the opposition's midfield for 78% of game time this year, right? Numerically, in all the key leaders that win you games. That's a huge start, but they're not playing well. Then they're horrifically out of form. You look out. I'm telling you now, when these boys hit their straps, we're doing it. And a big shout out to Stuart.
Agreed.
Do you know what I mean? And Mighty Blues. I know Mighty Blues is doing it tough at the moment. So much love to you. But also Stuart's got a house fire at the moment. So hopefully you're still with us. Please don't die, Stu. Who's gonna have banter with me if you go?
What a way to go. Listen to Pommy and Fazz. But good luck. Good luck with all that. Look, and you're right, and we have spent a lot of time on it and spoken about it. And you know, I think, Carlton sell papers positively, negatively. The reality is, we go out there, we beat the doggies, and it's happy days. And I think let's not deal with what if, or what if this happens. Let's just deal with when it happens. And at the moment, we're 22 hours away from the game starting. Let's not talk about, what if he does this? What if Bontempelli goes? Let's just get there, win the game, and you know what? We'll be on here next week, and we'll be talking about doing the pies next week. Because you know what? And you can write this down, and everyone's whatever. We are beating Collingwood next week. I don't care what anyone says. We are beating them handsomely next week. So let's just get through the dogs first, but we are beating Collingwood handsomely next week. So
100%. And Adrian, my beautiful brother, I'm not saying you can't ask for better. Fuck me. You've only got to watch my fan cams. You've only got to watch my reviews. I am constantly asking for better. I was the one who wanted to sack Teague after fucking halfway through round 20 in 2020. I was huge on that. Do you know what I mean? I wanted rid of him. I expect better. But what I am saying is this is the first time I've heard our football club talk like a football club for a long fucking time, where they've actually talked about process. They've actually honoured a process. Usually it's, we'll play finals. We'll beat the doggies next week and all will be right. They're actually talking about it. And that gives me a bit of fucking hope. But that being said, what I've seen, and I agree with Wally here, let's bring our best footy. The footy at the moment is dog shit. It's horrendous to watch, and it annoys me more because I understand what Voss is trying to do. But fuck me. At the moment, it feels like, I said it in my review, Adrian, you'll remember my great quote. If my kids kicked like the players did in my back garden, I would refuse to ever play kick-to-kick with them. I would pop the ball and say, right, fuck this, you're learning boxing. Because it's embarrassing. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, take this energy, take this hate, store the hate and the anger and the disappointment. And I implore you, whether you're at home, whether you're at the ground, whether you are fucking in bed, whether you're doing what Stuart is doing and headbutting a fucking fire, right? Fucking scream, cheer, and fucking throw all your energy in, right? Because that is what we need. That is what we need. And you know what? By all means, when they lose, because they will do from now till round 23, we've probably got a minimum of 4 losses. And that's been really positive. Fucking be critical of them because that's how you learn. Criticism is never bad. And you know what? If anyone ever says to any of you in chat, oh, you're not allowed to complain about the fucking team's performance, tag me and I'll call them a fucking idiot. Right? Because that's how you improve. But fucking throw all your energy around them because this next 4 weeks, telling you now, if you feel shit like you are now, imagine what they're feeling like. Bet they don't feel fucking too hot. Some of the things I've heard, I bet they're going back to their supermodel wives. Yeah, they probably are. They probably are. But I'll tell you what, how do you feel when you have a shit day at work? I feel horrible.
Correct.
I want to punch the cat. When everything goes wrong, they need you to get there. They need you to get there. But you know what I mean?
And I think Gavin hit the nail on the head. Maybe, you know, in a more, I'll put it in a different way. You know, don't listen to other people. There is a myriad of podcasts and shows and all that. And I know we're on one, so this might sound a bit ironic, but, you know, don't even listen to us. You know, we're just supporters like you guys. Make your opinion yourself. Go by your gut feel by watching it. Don't be dictated by what certain people are saying how you should feel. You know, like, you only know yourself. You know, I'll put my hand up. I've been guilty of, I'll use something that happened this morning. No one will care about this except for me with West Ham. West Ham won 2-1 this morning. I was absolutely buzzing. This is so good. And I'm starting to read things about, oh, you know, 2-1's not that good. They should have won. And you start to feel myself, oh, shit, maybe it's not that good. Oh, shit, we got to go away next week. Oh, shit. Fuck that. Go with your gut. Because at the end of the day, your gut is how you should be feeling. Don't listen to other people. Don't listen to me. You read my tweets, have a comment, have some banter, but don't listen. Just go with your gut, and that is generally the right answer.
Mate, I agree. And I wanted to leave you with something that I think is really poignant about failure. I went through my emails because I was trying to look for something for the doctors. And I got my leaving rehab email, and there's a really interesting quote, right, that it leaves you. And a staggering 79% of you will fall off and re-offend in the next 12 months, right? And a staggering 92% of them will never check into rehab again. But those who don't see it as a failure and see it as part of the journey, right, will be 100% clean. Now, I was lucky. I never remissed. I never recessed. But I know a couple of my mates who did. One of them died of a drug overdose who was in rehab with me. And one of them failed 3 times. He's now been 7 years clean. And I'm so proud of him because he kept falling into it. And that is what I want you to think about with failure. And Jason nails it. He grew up, and Rich is saying loser mentality. A loser mentality is seeing your 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 12th, 28th mistake falling off as game over. A winning mentality is accepting that I'm going to get fucking better next time. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that how I've been clean. I remember the words I was taught. Minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years. I'll be 11 years clean on the 11th of September, right? And that, I remember the first minute. I remember the first fucking minute. And you know what? There's been many peaks and troughs in them 11 years. Sometimes 8 years down the track, there's been troughs where I've been worried and stressed. But it's how you come out of it. It's how you judge it, how your eyes look at it. And this is something big, right? Right? This is something big that I want you to leave this show with and take it into your lives, right? When you set yourself a goal, like winning a house, buying a house in 2024, you will have a plan. Save $2,000 every month, save $1,000 a month, $500. If you get to 2024 and you haven't got the deposit, take pride in the steps you did do. Oh, I wanted $100,000. I've got 88. That's 88,000 more I had than I've got the plan. And then you just simply adjust the plan. Go 2025. We're fucking getting it, right? And I'm going to see why I didn't save $2,000 in September. Why didn't I save $2,000 in December? And really look at that. But that's how your goals work. Your goals are something exciting, but always honor the process. So if you're at home and you're struggling, whatever you're doing in your life, always pat yourself on the back for every day you got close to the goal, because the goal is where you're walking to. It's not the fucking be and end all. And if you're quitting smoking, whatever you're doing in your life, if your focus is the goal, you're a fucking idiot. You're going to fail. I'm going to let you know now, if your goal is to not drink alcohol ever again, you're an idiot. You're going to fail. You might as well get a beer. If that is your goal and you go, right, tomorrow, finish work, I'm going to buy some Ribena. I'm going to buy that DVD that I've been meaning to watch. I'm going to order myself takeout, and you start working on the process to not have a beer. Well done. You're going to be fucking sober, mate. And you treat yourself. Treat yourself when you do it. Never, ever see your mistake as a fucking failure. See it as a lesson to get better.
Wowee. Very inspirational. I've got to be honest, I actually feel like a beer after that, but nah, very, very inspirational, mate. But it's true. You what you say is right, and you're talking about things on a life and death scale, and we're talking about footy. And I think one of the things that you said really hits home, and a minute turns into hours, turns into days. A microcosm of that is footy. One possession turns into a chain, turns into a minute, turns into a quarter, turns into a half, turns into, and all of a sudden that's where you get back to it. And you talk about the goal. And again, all the way back to the start of this show, is missing finals a failure? You're going all the way back to what you just said then. If your goal is that, well, you failed already because you're not looking at the process in place. And the process of get your kick right. So maybe are these boys thinking too much? Are they thinking we've got to play finals? We've got to play? That's why Harry Mackay's missing goals. That's why we can't hit a target 15 meters. Narrow it down to the moment that you're in there and then. Forget finals. Forget winning that game. Hit that target. And then hit the next target. And then the next target and the next target. And I think, yeah, that's the way you've got to look at it. Really, really narrow it down to the moment rather than the collective. And what pleases me, and I'm very proud of you, mate, is, you know, because not that you need me or anyone to be proud of you because you're your own person, but it is lovely to hear that side of it. But what pleases me the most is that the messaging is clear and the messaging is the same regardless of what you're trying to do. And you just said it, whether it's the drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it might be even fast food. I know, like, whether it's chips or whatever, the messaging is the same and the process is the same. And you listen to what Voss said, what Chera said, what Cook said, the messaging is the same. And I think we all want to win. We all want to win premierships, but take a deep breath, sit down, enjoy the footy, hug your kids, hug your family, yell at the TV, boo Liam Jones, I don't know, whatever you want to do, and just, I had to get that in, and just be in the moment. And I've spoken about that a lot on our shows, about being in that moment, that mindfulness, that gratitude of where we're at. Just be in that moment of watching a game, being so emotionally invested in something, that's a beautiful thing. The fact that people are so angry and so frustrated, that's beautiful that you're so emotionally invested in something. And blame me if we lose. I don't mind. Take it out on me. Whatever you need to do. I'd rather you take it out on me. But the reality is just be in the moment.
Mate,
ride the kicks. Ride the kicks. Don't worry about, we need to kick 6 goals this quarter. We need to... No. Worry about the first tap out, that first handball. If we ride every kick with these boys, they'll ride every kick. And before you know it, Harry will kick 6 straight.
Mate, spot on. And the 5 demands, I don't often demand anything from the fans, but I demand 5 things from the fans this week, right? Actually, for the year, right? 1, be good to each other. 2, be good to yourself. 3, go out there and cheer these fucking idiots home to fucking beat the Dogs, because I can't stand the Dogs. What a nothing club.
Oh.
Footscray. Who fucking names a place after a part of your body, right? 4, Brian Ambrose, good friend of the channel. He's fighting cancer. There's something fucking real to worry about. Mate, you get yourself better, because I tell you what, I want to be sat with you when we fucking win one of these fucking flags, having a beer. So kick that cancer's ass, won't you, mate? And 5, fog's sake, boys, how fucking good is footy? How good sport? We're here talking about 23 blokes that won't fucking know us, that walk past on the street as if they're our kids. So everyone, enjoy your night. Be good to each other. Fucking set yourself a goal. That's Pom's 5th. Set yourself a goal and write a process. And every time you get a process, treat yourself to something, right? From Uncle Pom. But much love, everyone. We'll be back next week, regular time, Wednesday, because no longer do I have to speak to Americans anymore. Thank fuck for that. I'll probably get sacked for that because Fazz got told off for something he said on the internet.
Oh, mate, don't get me started.
Can't wait to get sacked Monday.
What a shit show.
But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fazz. And go Blues, and see you next week.
No worries. See you.